Coming live from Santa Monica, California, USA is our guest today morning. Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And before I move forward, may I request you to subscribe, follow, like, and comment on whichever platform you are watching or listening to this show on. And today we have Bob Wheeler, financial expert and motivator, book author, and founder of the Money Nerve. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, Bob. So we will be talking about, as the topic says, about how emotions impact our financial decision making. So my first question is the topic itself. How do emotions impact our financial decision making, Bob?
Well, they mostly work unconsciously. And what may happen is if we're afraid of getting a promotion or we're afraid that we're not going to be able to buy a house, we might make financial decisions based on our fears or based on the emotions that we're just not consciously aware of.
Okay. And people can mistakes in during that.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest fears around money is actually fear of success, fear of succeeding. What am I going to do? Now people are going to ask me for money. Maybe they don't want to be my friend anymore. They just want my money, right? We create all these stories and all these narratives, and here we are.
Okay. But isn't emotion also linked with risk-taking ability? A person who is emotional may want to take more risks.
Well, certainly some people may be excited by taking risk. Other people may be afraid of taking risk. But in our daily lives, whether we're investing, whether we're saving, whether we're overspending, there's a narrative in the back of our brain that's talking, saying you don't have enough, or I hope everybody's impressed with what you bought, or you better present really well. But yes, certainly there are people that will not invest money out of the fear of taking a risk, for sure.
Okay, Bob. So a lot of people, you see, money. You have written a book called The Money Nerve.
Right.
You also run an organization. You are the founder called The Money Nerve itself.
Yes.
And you know, when you talk of money, for some people it's like touching a raw nerve.
Sure.
So each one, as you say, has a money nerve. Can you tell us where it is and how to activate it?
So it's in different places for all of us. When you win the lottery ticket, when you get a bonus you didn't count on, you get so excited. Your chest expands and you just feel the joy. Your whole body comes alive, right? But when you bounce a check or your credit card gets declined, your body shrinks. Your chest might go inward. We have that nausea in our stomach. And when money.
Okay. So the biggest thing is how to develop a healthy relationship with money. Whether people are afraid of money or they want too much of money, the fact is that they can't live without money, and everybody wants money. So how do you develop a healthy relationship so that you get enough of money? A lot of people just want enough of money to live a life with good quality life and a life with dignity. How do you do that? What do you tell in your book? What do you tell your clients?
Well, the first thing is to understand your current relationship with money. Are you afraid of it? Do you hate it? Do you have to work hard for it? What's your definition of your relationship with your money right now? And then you have to decide, is that working? Maybe it's working. I like to be afraid. I never have to talk to people. It's working for some people. Most of us try to live beyond our means instead of living within our means. If I've
Okay.
got $100, I'm going to pretend I have $200 and I'm going to spend $200. And we spend more than we make, and we earn less than we spend. So until we can start to be comfortable with, oh, this is good. I can live within my means. Now I can put some money away for savings. But a lot of us have a story is that I can't save until I get a bonus. I can't save until my kid gets out of school. I can't have this or have that. I've got to put it on credit cards. I'll worry about my debt later. And so we just put things off because maybe we didn't have the tools. Somebody didn't teach us. And we're just working blindly, and we're supposed to know better because we're adults.
Okay. Okay. But isn't it a cultural thing, Bob, that in India, generally, my grandparents used to tell me about the importance of saving money.
Mhm.
But things are changing very fast, even in India. But in the US, it's been more of, spending money on a lot of things, buying new things, living life for on the day itself. So, uh, how do you tell people in today's backdrop that you got to save money and that you got to live within your means? What do you tell in your book, The Money Nerve?
Well, the way I get people to look at saving and getting rid of debt is I ask people, what do you want in your life? Do you want to have a house? Do you want to put your kids through college? What kind of legacy do you want to live? And are you managing your money in a way that's alignment with what you say you want? Are you being in integrity? Are you actually saving money, or are you taking your kids' college money and spending it on vacations? And so it's important to get really clear on what you want in this life so that then you can say, okay, well, I want to have a house in 5 years. Let me start saving for that. How much do I need to save for a down payment? Especially with the economy and things going crazy in different parts of the world,
Right.
making sure you've got your debt handled so that you don't get caught with surprises if you lose your job or if money is temporarily not available. And so it's really important, regardless of how things look. People that are wealthy, they're still doing the work. They're still looking at their budgets. They're still putting money in savings. Being wealthy and being rich doesn't mean I now can spend limitlessly and just spend whenever I want. There's still a responsibility in managing your money at any income level.
Right. So, what is the biggest hindrance for anybody in having money? People want to do work, they work, and they may spend also. A lot of people spend money and save at the same time. Why is it not the same with everybody? Is it because, yeah, why is it not?
Well, it's interesting. Some people do spend and they save, but they save more than they spend, or they only spend when they have a windfall of money. Other people spend every day. I'm going to go out for lunch. I used to work with a guy. He said, oh, well, it's cheaper for me to eat lunch and dinner out. And I'm like, really? He's spending all his money on meals and then wondering why he doesn't have any money because he didn't want to make his own meals. So it really depends. There can be 5 people with the same amount of income coming in, and people have different priorities. Some people are going to feel like they shouldn't spend anything just in case. Other people will say, I'm going to spend everything because who cares? I could die tomorrow. And so really what we're bringing in is our childhood baggage and our childhood mindset when we're making these decisions. And a lot of them are unconscious.
Okay. So, somebody who has just started his career, or
Mhm.
you can say even such a few years into work, what would you tell them? Saving is one part. Are there any other tips that you would want to give to people, especially the younger generation?
One of the most important things is, where does your money go? Creating a budget or a
Okay.
spending plan. How much is my rent? How much do I spend on food? How much do I spend going to the movie? How much is my car insurance or my motorcycle insurance? All of those different things, you want to have a sense of, this is where my money goes, so that, oh, okay, I make enough money to cover that, or I may need to cut back on my spending money for going out at night.
Right. So what should people generally should save for? Is it for their children's education? But then a lot of people will say, okay, I'm not married and I don't know when I'll get married. Or what is the most important thing that people should save for?
Well, again, if you're not married with kids, probably saving for college doesn't make any sense. Saving for a home, saving for
Okay.
retirement, saving for vacations. Travel is a great educational tool. I've been to India. It's not the same as it is in Los Angeles. And so learning how different people in the world live. And one thing I will say is, whether I'm in India or Africa, people are a lot happier than in the US, I think, when it comes to money, because in the US, you've got to keep making more and more and more. And in other countries, there's more of a balance of appreciating life. That's been my experience.
No, I understand what you say, but you see, the irony is that a lot of people from India want to go to get a bite of the big apple.
Yep.
And a lot of people want to come from the US and sit quietly for some time by the river Ganges. That's the irony of life. The people always find grass greener on the other side, and most of the time it's that search that keeps people on. Like your search, what happened in Africa? You talked of Africa, you went to Africa, and then that changed, I guess, a lot of your beliefs around money. Do tell us about that.
Yeah. So coming from the US and probably being a male, I was socialized to be my accomplishments. So I've got to make money. I've got to be the top of my class. I've got to do incredible vacations. Life has to be really interesting and special. And
Right.
so you got to have the nicest car. You got to get the better neighborhood. You're always running to get something else. When I got to Africa, and I was in Tanzania at the time, I've been in several countries, but in Tanzania, the average income was about $100 a year per person. $100 per person a year. They were incredibly happy. And I kept looking at all these people going, you don't have a nice car. You don't have shoes. You don't know where your next meal is coming from. How can you be so happy? What's wrong with all these people? And I would throw something away, and they would ask if they could take it. A container, a torn t-shirt, whatever. They looked and saw the value of what I was calling trash. And it really messed with me, because I couldn't understand how people could be happy if they weren't accumulating material things. And it really made me stop and pause and realize that I wasn't happy trying to have all these things, and that maybe if I slowed down and actually enjoyed life, I might actually find that I'm a lot happier.
Right. So let me ask you a question for which perhaps you don't stand for then. Why save money when money is not going to lead to happiness?
Well, money certainly helps. If I want to take a trip to India, I got to have money. If I want to sail around the world, if I want to have really cool life experiences, money is helpful. If I want to be able to pay it forward and give back and be of service, money is a great tool to be able to help communities and to be able to pay it forward.
Right. So you understood about happiness by visiting Africa, but why can't people understand about happiness without visiting Africa or any other place? Isn't there a method through which they can attain not just materialistic pleasure, commercial success, but also happiness in the true sense, without need to go anywhere else? Maybe search within or seeing things around, because I guess even in the US, so much of talk of community service, community engagement is there.
Yeah.
In India, that a lot of things are also changing. So why is it that people are always searching for happiness when it's so much around and perhaps within you?
Well, there's a favorite line out of a movie called Time Bandits that I love. And the quote is, wherever you go, there you are.
Right.
And the truth is, we think it's over there. We think it's under that rock. And so we spend all this time instead of just stopping, taking a couple of breaths and looking around and seeing that we actually have everything that we need. And you don't necessarily have to travel to another country. For me, I live a pretty entitled life, right? I live a very privileged life. I didn't know that because everybody around me had a similar experience. And so when I stepped out of my environment, it helped me to realize you and the rest of the world are not always all living the same life. You need to be a little bit more aware. So for me, traveling outside helped give awareness, but the reality is there's poverty in the USA. There are happy people in the USA. There are happy people on my street. It's what we choose, but it sounds more exotic and more sexy if we're seeking outward instead of actually just stop and reflecting inward.
Right, right. Tell me a bit more about you, Bob. Means you are a very interesting personality. You talk about money, you tell people about how to have a healthy relationship with money, but you also have visited Africa, you have visited, you have climbed Mount Kilimanjaro,
Yeah.
Mount Everest base camp. Tell us about that part of your life. What has been your learning? What has happened? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I love being out in nature, uh, being able to hike to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, going to base camp. Being out in nature is a mental exercise more than it is a physical. And I love that it's me going at my own pace. So if I don't make it up the mountain, it's my mental space telling me I can't do it or to give up. And so I find when I'm out in nature, it's a place for me to get grounded, to reconnect with myself, to feel the earth. When I'm in LA, I could Uber, people take care of me, everything's going on. When I'm up on a mountain, I'm carrying my pack. And
Right.
I may get a little bit of help, but I have to do things myself. And I like being reminded that I'm just like everybody else.
Absolutely. So, Bob, the, should I understand for almost everybody, especially for the younger generation, is that travel should be a very important part of their mission of earning money? What do you earn for?
I totally believe that everybody should travel and experience other places because even in the US, kids that are in the lower income mediums still have it better than a lot of people in other countries. Right? They still have their cell phone, their iPhone, and their all these things. And so I think by traveling, we get to meet other people, we get to experience other cultures. Uh, I've certainly eaten things that I never would have eaten if I was living here. And it's an opportunity to just see that the world is full of amazing things. And as different as we all are, we're all connected by our humanity. And so for me, being able to travel and meet other people and experience their gratitude and their celebrations of life helps me reflect on what I'm here to do.
Right, right. That's a very important aspect of life indeed. Now talking about the comedy part, you see, people made finance is a very serious field, and then you got involved, and you are the CFO of the world famous comedy store. Means, tell us about that. How did this East and West meet here?
Yes. So I was actually doing stand-up comedy and uh, jokingly saying, I had to pay the bills. The accounting wasn't making the money. But so I was doing stand-up and basically I had made it a mission in my head that I was going to be a part of the Comedy Store. I meant as a comic, but I guess I wasn't clear. And what happened was the owner called me up because a friend of mine told her that I was a CPA. And they called me up and said, look, we're about $100,000 in debt with payroll taxes. Everything is a mess. You got to come help save the store. And I just wanted to do comedy, but all my friends were comics. I had the background, and I said, okay, I got to save this place. It's iconic, it's historical, and this is where I perform. And so 25 years later, I'm still at the club, and thankfully we had a couple of near misses, but we are alive and thriving. And for me, comedy is a great way for me to actually educate people around money. I can tell a story and people will laugh and then say, oh, wait a minute, that's me. Oh, I was just telling a joke. I guess you're right. It's a way to disarm people about a very serious subject.
Right. Obviously, it's better to, listen to a joke and get serious about your money rather than becoming a joke by not having money. Sometimes,
Absolutely.
You lose all your freedom if you don't have the basic amount of money.
I'm going to write that down. I'm going to save that. That's good.
No, I felt it. It's not that life of journalists is not always that rosy. You work in the best of places, but you may not earn as much as you want to, or the needs of life may not be. And everybody goes through their own challenges in life. And one of the biggest things that I have seen, Bob, is that not having enough money or basic money can take away not only your freedom to choose, but your freedom to have the basic sense of day-to-day life itself. That should not be.
Absolutely. And when you don't have money, it impacts your health. You aren't able to do preventive care. It impacts the way you show up at work. It impacts the fact you may not be able to eat 3 meals a day. There's so much that is impacted by lack of money. People with less money tend to have a shorter lifespan. And there's just so many statistics around health and money and just having the basic necessities.
Right. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So, Bob, it's late out there. It's quite late in the evening. And I understand that. And we have talked about something very good, and a lot of tips you have given, a lot of insights into life, insights into how one can look at life and money and can have a healthy relationship with money. The last question I'll ask is, how do people contact you? How do they get your book? How do they take your help, your services, if possible?
Absolutely. So my website is The Money Nerve.
Okay.
That's nerve, not nerd. I'm a nerd, but it's The Money Nerve. And that's got my website. It's got my book. It's got my podcast called Money You Should Ask, where we talk about money. It's got my online course. It's got access to my CPA practice for people that want to have help with their taxes. There's a lot of great free resources and tools, and people can reach out. info@themoneynerve.com, info@themoneynerve.com. And I've got a great team of people, and we're happy to.
You indeed do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob. In fact, I will include quite a bit of this, your social media and all those details on the YouTube description so that people can find it easily.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Bob. With all this, it's a wrap on this edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for your time. Have a good night.
Thanks so much.